South Lebanon is once again at the center of escalating tensions. Israeli warplanes unleashed fresh airstrikes on Sunday, targeting what they claim are Hezbollah strongholds, igniting fires, triggering explosions, and spending thick smoke billowing across the border region. But this is more than a flare-up. Under intense U.S. pressure, Beirut has ordered its army to come up with a plan to disarm Hezbollah by year's end, a red line for the group. Meanwhile, Parliament Speaker Nabih Berri has warned against foreign-imposed solutions and stressed the need for dialogue over confrontation. With mounting pressure from abroad and defiance at home, can Lebanon navigate this high-stakes crisis without triggering a wider conflict? Welcome to Think Tank.
Our world is becoming unhinged.
In a continued violation of November's ceasefire agreement, Israeli Air Force jets carried out a series of large-scale airstrikes on southern Lebanon early Sunday morning. According to the Times of Israel, the Israeli military said it targeted Hezbollah's military infrastructure in the region. The strikes come after increasing pressure from the United States on Lebanese government to disarm Hezbollah, a move the group strongly rejects. Despite the fragile ceasefire brokered last November to de-escalate cross-border violence, Israel has continued its military operations, asserting it will persist until Hezbollah is fully disarmed. Meanwhile, the Lebanese army has been gradually deploying in southern Lebanon as part of its ceasefire commitments. Amid these developments, the Lebanese government is under pressure to finalize a disarmament plan for Hezbollah by the end of this year. However, Hezbollah has firmly rejected any move to relinquish its weapons, with its leadership insisting that disarmament would amount to surrendering the group's core identity and defensive role. Meanwhile, Lebanon's Parliament Speaker Nabih Berri warned that Israel is expanding its occupation in southern Lebanon and criticized Washington's push to rapidly disarm Hezbollah. According to the Washington Post, he urged that the U.S. disarmament proposal bypasses the need for a ceasefire and instead urged a calm, consensual national dialogue to determine the future of Hezbollah's weapons. Berri also cautioned against placing the burden of disarmament on the Lebanese army, calling it an unfair and risky move. At the same time, the Lebanese military is preparing to submit a plan to the government that outlines steps to disarm Hezbollah by the end of the year. This follows backing from President Joseph Aoun and Prime Minister Nawaf Salam, both of whom have committed to centralizing all weapons under the control of Lebanese military and security forces. Hezbollah, however, remains firmly opposed. The group's leader, Naim Qassem, stated that disarmament is off the table until Israel withdraws from 5 strategic points it still holds in southern Lebanon and ends its near-daily strikes on Lebanese territory.
Israeli occupation forces launched intense airstrikes on southern Lebanon, targeting what the Israeli military referred to as Hezbollah-operated sites. According to Lebanese media, explosions echoed across the region, with fires igniting the dense forest of Ali al-Tahir and widespread destruction reported in Al-Dabsha. Smoke and blasts were felt across nearby villages, stoking fears of a renewed escalation. These attacks mark a fresh violation of the ceasefire that paused fighting last November. Despite the fragile truce, Israel has continued its campaign against Hezbollah positions, maintaining pressure on the group to disarm. While Beirut reels from the damage, it is also grappling with mounting U.S. pressure to disarm Hezbollah by the year's end, a task handed to the Lebanese army. The army's plan is expected to be presented this month, with cabinet ministers set to meet again on Friday to review it. Hezbollah, however, has long maintained that its weapons are crucial to Lebanon's defense, and it has vowed to maintain its arsenal. The group's leadership continues to show strong opposition to any internal efforts aimed at disarmament. Meanwhile, Lebanese Parliament Speaker Nabih Berri emphasized the importance of reaching consensus on a national defense strategy, one that protects Lebanon without surrendering to foreign demands. He criticized attempts to throw the fireball into the army's hands, warning against jeopardizing Resolution 1701, which underpins the current ceasefire. As Lebanon navigates its most critical test yet, the country faces a defining moment. Can it balance sovereignty, unity, and security, or is a deeper conflict looming?
Providing more analysis, we're joined from Beirut by retired Brigadier General Taqiyuddin al-Tannir, military expert and strategic researcher, and Michelle al-Shamma'i, political researcher and analyst. Welcome to Think Tank, Mr. Taqiyuddin. Israel continues to carry out airstrikes in southern Lebanon despite the ceasefire. From a military standpoint, what messages is Israel sending with these repeated breaches, sir?
Good afternoon, Mrs. Rena, for you, for Qnews, for Cairo News, for your audiences and listeners, for your guests. And thanks for your for my attending with you today.
Thank you so much.
What I would like to say that there is a lot of messages, and Israel don't need to send messages anyway, because from the early beginning, she used to say that whenever I find any threat according to her national, as you know, security, she will strikes and bombing infrastructures, buildings, human beings, anything can make any threat to her. That's all. First of all, from
Mr. Michel, how do these ongoing Israeli violations affect the Lebanese government's position as it faces growing pressure to disarm Hezbollah by the end of this year, sir?
These ongoing violations committed by Israel augment the pressure imposed on the government of Lebanon. Also, the situation is dire on the street in Lebanon. But after today, we cannot look at the matters before, like we did before, when the parliament spokesman Nabih al-Berri signed the resolution on behalf of Miqati. Israel said they will strike upon all what they called suspicious movement on the borders. This agreement gave Israel this ability. Whenever Israel violates the sovereignty of Lebanon, when it leads to pressure being imposed on the government politically, So I don't think this government will adhere to these pressures because it receives a large and wide international support. So Iran is the only key player opposing this government on an international stage, and they cannot continue preventing the government to do its role. So within the legal entities inside Lebanon, like the Lebanese army, they might be forced to stand face to face against those who encourage mutiny. So in this parliament chaired by Berri and the government run by affiliates of Hezbollah, the parliament, they want to stop legally the Hezbollah affiliates and members from holding arms. They want to impose the rule of law. We don't want the government is not giving in to other dictations from Israel and America like they are showing. That's not true.
Mr. Taqi, is Israel deliberately testing the limits of the ceasefire in anticipation of a broader confrontation with Hezbollah? Or is this about internal politics within Israel, sir? And of course, it's very obvious, sir, that Parliament Speaker Nabih Berri has warned against foreign-imposed solutions and stressed the need for dialogue over confrontation, and is very worried about the Lebanese army. How do you read this, and what's your narrative, sir?
Yes, it used both ways. First of all, it wants to make any kind of contact with Hezbollah. Until now, after more than 9 months, there is not any response from Hezbollah to all the aggressions from the Israeli enemy forces. And second, maybe it will be an internal policy for her that to show all of us that it's still here and will continue, as we said, her sovereignty on all this area, with or without any reason, in order to show the way that they are, it might make right, and it uses here, as we know, the law of jungle.
Mr. Taqi, how do you read this situation? Do you see that the Hezbollah should be disarmed now, and do you see that Israel should continue breaching the ceasefire? And do you see that the Lebanese Parliament Speaker Nabih Berri is right in what he's saying? What is your perspective, and how do you see what's going to happen and what's supposed to be happening on the ground? And of course, the stance of Lebanese President Joseph Aoun, sir. How do you read all this situation entirely in, of course, in light of the Israeli continuous breaching of ceasefire and never stops and doesn't want to leave the 5 strategic points?
I guess the Speaker of Parliament, Lebanese Parliament, President Nabih Berri, was very clear when he said and declared that they need, he means American and Israel, they need everything. Until now, they didn't give us anything.
As usual, sir, this is always what happens with Israel.
Yeah, what I would like to say that he tried to explain for all the international committee and for the internal committee too, for Lebanese components, that nobody can oppose us to do what we don't want to do, and we are ready. We are ready to sit and make like a Lebanese dialogue, national Lebanese dialogue, in order to put the disarmament under consideration after the withdrawal of Israel troops from all Lebanese land according to the resolution 1701.
Mr.
And he was-
Michel.
and
Okay, I'm very sorry. Continue, Dr. Taqi.
and he was also very caring about the Lebanese armed forces when he said it's not a fireball. We cannot accept to throw on our army a fireball, even we cannot throw them with flowers. We must know carefully what we do. There will not be any clash with our Lebanese armed forces, and we need to sit down and discuss that issue all together for our national.
Yes, sir.
issue.
I'll leave you here. He wants, Nabih Berri wants, basically, which is the parliament speaker, he wants dialogue over confrontation. He doesn't want confrontation at this point. Mr. Michel, Parliament Speaker Nabih Berri criticized, and I need your take on this as well, sir. I did ask Mr. Taqiyuddin, criticized Washington's push to quick disarm Hezbollah and called for dialogue within a national consensus, sir. How significant is this positioning within Lebanon's fractured political landscape, especially, sir, that Nabih Berri is very worried about the Lebanese army and sees that dialogue is more important than confrontation at this point, because he is very worried about the Lebanese army specifically and sees that it's very risky at this point.
Certainly, any dialogue occurring in Lebanon will be encouraged, but the dialogue encouraged by Al-Berri, it was listened to millions and millions of times. We, since 2006, Hezbollah is pointing weapons at the heads of Lebanon, at the Lebanese people, unlawfully holding weapons. So we will not have any dialogue with any power in Lebanon outside the legal ways. They will not be outlaws or raise the banner of mutiny. No one in Lebanon will try to have a dialogue or a discourse. Every time he threatens of the possibility of the eruption of a civil war in Lebanon, whomsoever or any party tries to oppose or combat the lawful channels and the only entity legal to hold arms, which is the Lebanese army, cannot enter into dialogue. These are weapons to be pointed at the chests of the Lebanese people with the Israeli technology, which destroyed it and devastated it within the course of 10 days. And we saw what Israel is doing to it every day. So regarding these matters, dialogue will be inside the parliament. We have to change the Lebanese constitution as a whole. On the 5th and 7th of September, they will organize talks about the lawful. This only will return the sovereignty and power to the legal and lawful entity in Lebanon, because they were joined forcibly by a party that was willing to divide the sovereignty with the legal entities in the nation and the state itself. That cannot happen or continue. So we will now try to talk about the simpler and wider concepts. Today, why are they looking astonished while we call for the application of the sovereignty principles in Lebanon? The Lebanese army, he is the one who protects the Lebanese borders. is nowadays applying the rule of law to construct an economy, a productive economy,
Mr.
which
Michel, I want to ask you here a question in the core of our discussion. I understand what you said and I got what you said. Sir, despite all what you're saying, which I really respect, sir, the group's leader, which is Hezbollah's leader, Naim Qasim, stated that disarmament is off the table until Israel withdraws from 5 strategic points it still holds in southern Lebanon and ends its near daily strikes on Lebanese territory. How do you read this, sir, Mr. Michel, and what's your take on this? Mr. Michel, again, I got what you said, but in the core of our conversation, sir, is that Naim Qasim, the group's leader, Hezbollah's leader, stated that disarmament is off the table until Israel withdraws from 5 strategic points it still holds in southern Lebanon and ends its nearly daily strikes on Lebanese territory. How do you read this, Mr. Michel, from your own narrative, and how do you see this escalating or de-escalating or helping the Lebanese army or helping the Lebanese government or helping the entire, how do you read it?
Because the main resolution, they have their main resolution issued in Iran. They are taking orders from Iran.
Hezbollah is taking orders from Iran.
Under the guise that it's done and dictated by Israelis and Americans. So they are taking their orders from Iran. They are talking that the arms are their honor and their power that cannot be taken away. That's why they want to devastate the state in Lebanon, but we will not permit them to do that. We will fully support the government in its legal means and lawful means, and through the constitution.
Okay,
to apply
sir,
the
then
rule of
your
law.
problem is that it is Iran that gives Hezbollah the orders. Mr. Taqiyuddin, how do you read what Mr. Michel said? Do you see that it's right that Iran is the one that's giving Hezbollah the orders and that Hezbollah should disarm as soon as possible? Or do you see that Hezbollah should disarm after the Israel stops its breaching and moves away from the 5 points, sir, and with Nabih Berri publicly opposing forced disarmament and external pressure? Does this put the Lebanese army in a political untenable position between the government's directive and Hezbollah's red lines, sir?
Mrs. Rana, I agree with most of what Mr. Michel said.
Great.
But I would like to add only one question. There is no guarantees for all what he said. Who will give us guarantees after we disarmament Hezbollah and after we do all what they want us to do? I agree with all what he said, not only most, all, but with a written documents from America and all the international committee for our guarantees, withdrawing of all Lebanese territories and land, giving us back our people there, and start rebuilding our country again.
Mr. Michel, did you listen to Mr. Taqiyuddin? And what's your take, sir?
From the Lebanese government will be issued from the lawful and legal entities only in Lebanon. And these guarantees, and these powers are the ones, these entities are the ones protecting the people in Lebanon. And if then they will, when they will see the resolution, the international community will have to adhere to what the political system says in Lebanon in order to protect its people. It will be done through diplomatic means.
Do you see,
When
sir,
you
that
see-
the international community and Israel mix, or the international community has any say over Israel?
If Lebanon applied the international resolutions and what the constitution constitutes, Lebanon will claim and will have to call for Israel to withdraw from the 5 border points, and they will once again reclaim sovereignty over the whole of the territories of the Lebanese
You
state.
mean Israel that will have to withdraw, sir? Okay, sir, I got your point. Mr. Taqiyuddin, with Nabih Berri publicly opposing forced disarmament and external pressure, does this put the Lebanese army in a politically untenable position between the government's directive and Hezbollah's red lines, sir?
No, I don't think so, because Lebanese armed forces will do what they asked to do, a timetable for the disarmament of Hezbollah, and they will put like a proposal or a preparing plan for that issue, containing 3 or 4 stages or parts. First part, what they know and what they could. Second part, what they need, equipment to do that. Third part, and I am sure about that, it's the role of the political situation, means the cabinet, Lebanese government, to make her decision by dialogue, national dialogue, by international pressure. I don't know how they will deal with that issue. And fourth, sure, they will not have any kind of confrontation or kind of clash with Hezbollah. I am sure about that, because it will cost us too much and it will get us back to the civil war, and we don't need to hear, not to have to hear about that word again in our country after 50 years of problems.
Mr. Michel, how might Berry's stance influence the Lebanese government's next steps, especially with the army expected to present a disarmament plan soon, or as soon as possible?
Stance which was undertaken by Berri will lead to the delay of the coordination by the government, but they must know a pivotal matter, which is that the whole region entered in a new status quo. That's why the Lebanese state also entered into a new sovereign status quo. So it's beneficial to install updates on the events and the occurrence of these events within the political game, or he will take the Shia with him and with the resolution issued by Hezbollah, which was not right and which was issued on October 8th, because we know at the Shia component in Lebanon as a civilized component and partners in our statehood and citizenship. They are free men who want to uphold the sovereignty of all our territories in Lebanon, whether they want to oppose those in Iran and America and Saudi Arabia. This will lead me to talk about the appliance of the to a system which was called by a cardinal to resolve the geopolitical issue, East and West.
That was Michel Shamai, political researcher, analyst, and retired Brigadier General Taqiyuddin al-Tannir, military expert in strategic research. Unfortunately, I needed more time to discuss this episode and this topic, a very important topic with you both and with Mr. Taqiyuddin. Mr. Taqiyuddin, of course, I wanted your intake on what Mr. to the end of today's episode, and I thank you very much for your insights and valuable informative knowledge, which always reveals the complexities of our changing world. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Think Tank, and thank you of course to all our viewers and the team here. Thank you very much. Until we meet again, stay tuned for more updates here coming up on Qnews.